The Rivers State lawmakers loyal to Nyesom Wike have withdrawn the notice of impeachment earlier served on Governor Sim Fubara. The notice of withdrawal was contained in a letter signed by the lawmakers and read out by factional Speaker Martins Amewule, who says the move is in line with the conflict resolution intervention by President Bola Tinubu. Udwak Patrick filed this report.
These factional lawmakers in this hall, who are meeting at the legislative quarters in Port Harcourt during plenary, read out a letter withdrawing a notice of impeachment earlier served on Governor Sim Fubara. Factional Speaker Martins Amewule explains that the letter, signed by 24 members of the House, follows an agreement reached after a reconciliatory meeting convened by President Bola Tinubu.
The total number of persons that signed this letter is 24. Distinguished colleagues, this letter was received this morning and duly signed by 24 members of this 10th Assembly. Incidentally, all the 4 members, or the same members, that also signed the notice of impeachment, which was read on the 30th of October 2023 during plenary. Distinguished colleagues, the import of this letter from what I've just read clearly indicates that honorable members that brought this notice of impeachment have, on their own volition, agreed.
So, Speaker, the letter you just read to us this morning is our common position. And the reasons we have advanced in that letter are not far-fetched. They are genuine, they are important, they are in the overall interest of the state. The manager of the Federal Republic of Nigeria intervened, and we cannot say no to his very senior and respected federal advice. So, Mr. Speaker, we are in order.
The lawmakers also considered at plenary a report on the oil spill in Aleto community of LMA local government area.
Mr. Speaker, the committee followed up on the facility owner, which is SPDC, up to yesterday, sir. And they told us what they have done so far. Like they reported earlier, they have sent relief materials to the affected communities. After the relief material, they did what we call assessment of impacted areas to ascertain the level of damage and impact. They have already done that. As of today, they are at the contracting stage of awarding contract to qualify and competent contractors and clean up by remediation of those impacted areas.
Job well done. And I also will say that until we see the final end to this issue revolving around this image, the job committee will not have been completely done. So I think I want to suggest, I agree that the committee should continue to monitor the process.
The House Committee, the ad hoc committee of the Aleto Boys Village, to go back the years with the SPDC and, of course, the host communities, so that we can ensure that the remediation process is properly done.
The Rivers State lawmakers have been divided following a face-off between them and the executive. It's hoped that the political agreement signed by the parties will lead to peace.
We're now joined by Arise correspondent in Rivers State, Andy Omano. Good morning, Andy, and thanks for joining us today on the morning show.
Good morning, Ayo.
All right, so tell us updates there. We see that, factional Speaker Martins Amewule has announced that they would be dropping impeachment proceedings against the governor in tandem with the resolution from the meeting with the president and other stakeholders in Abuja a few days ago. Can you give us updates on that with regards to where is Honorable Edison here in all this matters? And then has the governor responded? I mean, we hear of the 100,000 naira bonus, but what else has he said? Has he spoken to the Rivers people, or at least a group of people?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayo. Yes, the governor has responded, but not directly, but through his Commissioner for Information and Communications in the person of Joe Johnson. Yesterday, everywhere was asking the question, did Mr. Governor actually appended his signature to this peace pact that many say seems to be against him, except for that particular point on the agenda that has to do with the call that the lawmakers must not impeach him, but they should go ahead to drop the impeachment proceedings that they have commenced against him. And so that's it. Edison here, we haven't heard anything from him, that is the court-recognized Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, since that peace pact meeting in Abuja. No one has heard anything from him. Probably himself and his group, the group of 5, I should say 4 to be precise, are re-strategizing to know where to go. But the governor has addressed the Rivers people that he actually appended his signature and that he didn't do that under duress. That was according to the Commissioner for Information and Strategy yesterday, Joe Johnson.
Okay, so did you hear about any legal interaction that happened that at the court where the case was being heard as regards the lawmakers, the lawyer representing the lawmakers, the 27 defected lawmakers, did say that, oh, they were ready to withdraw the case from court, but the lawyer representing the governor said they are not giving him such directive to withdraw any case from court, and they adjourned the case to the, I think, next year. What would you say about that?
January next year.
To January next year. So what would you say, you know, as regards that? Because that's another sticky point a lot of people are looking at now.
Absolutely, Rufai. That was the High Court in Isiokpo in Ikwere local government area yesterday. Yes, the counsel to the 26 lawmakers did say his clients had asked him to appear in court in order to withdraw the case in tandem with the agreement reached in that part. But the counsel to Mr. Governor said he's yet to get a briefing from Mr. Governor, and so he would need to do consultation before he will take any step. I think it was at that point that the judge handling that particular case decided to adjourn it till January next year. So the judge, the counsel to Mr. Governor may be consulting now in order to know where to go next from there. Yes, Rufai, it actually happened, but the impeachment proceedings via the court were not dropped yesterday as wanted by counsel to 27 lawmakers.
All right. Beyond the stay on impeachment proceedings, Andy, there were other points highlighted in the 8-point agenda resolution from the meeting. I'd like to ask you how far obeyed those other points are. For instance, the reinstatement of the 27 lawmakers who defected to the APC. Are they now reinstated? Have they chosen a sit-in place? Then, very curious, they asked earlier what happened, what's going on with Honorable Edison Ehe's faction. Has he said anything of significance? And then, with regards to the other 4, what will then happen to them? So the other points from the resolution, what is the update on those points?
Okay, thanks, Ayo. For the other points of the resolution, first, let me start with Edison Ehe. Since that peace pact brokered by Mr. President in Abuja, the press here is yet to hear anything from Mr. Edison Ehe. Then for, it's an 8-point agenda. The governor, the only thing we've seen the governor do was to approve 100,000 naira each to all civil servants in Rivers State for them to be able to have a rounded Christmas celebration. That's the only thing we have seen the governor do. But for the others, probably those are going to come in the days ahead. Don't forget that the governor had said he's ready to implement all that is embedded in that peace pact because there is no cost that is too big for there to be peace in Rivers State. He said this at the convocation of a private university 2 days ago here in Port Harcourt. And so likely in the next couple of days and weeks, we may see the governor implementing them, even when many are saying many of those issues raised in that particular peace pact are counterproductive to the interest of the government. Ayo.
Okay. So what about those commissioners? What's the practicality of commissioners that voluntarily resigned to be reinstated? What's the practicality of that? How will that go?
Well, Rufai, probably the governor is trying to work out how that would be executed, because many had reasoned, why should they be reinstated? Because these were people who said they decided to throw in the towel for personal reasons. And if somebody who was employed had come to say, look, I no longer want to serve in this capacity, why want to bring the person back, given the political scenario? So that will be left for the governor. Remember, he has said he's going to abide by all issues raised in that peace agreement. He may just decide to go ahead to reabsorb them. But if you ask me as a reporter who is on ground here, the feeling by many Rivers people is these commissioners should just go in order to give opportunity for fresh hands to come in, to be able to allow the governor start on a very, very solid footing, because this is a very critical critical level in his governance, and he needed people who would pay full allegiance to his administration, as it were. But the onus is on the governor to decide whether he's going to reinstate or he's not going to do that.
All right. Andy, thank you, and I'm glad you brought in the Rivers people, right? And also, I'd like you to also add to that the elders. It seems as if, from what you said, that they're asking for the commissioners to stay away and let's have fresh hands, that they're quite settled with this resolution. Initially, there had been resistance saying that it was illegal, they weren't going to accept a godfather, and they were fully backing the governor. Are you saying now that that has changed and people are a bit more, accepting of what transpired in Aso Villa and the resolutions after? Beyond that, the condemnation from the elders, is Governor Fubara listening at all to the Elders Forum? Has he taken into cognizance their condemnation of the outcome of that meeting? Because it seems as if he hasn't responded to their concerns, and he's going ahead despite what they've written or the communique they released following their own meeting, saying that they condemned the outcome of that meeting.
Yes, I must tell you that a good chunk of Rivers people here are not in tandem with the conditions embedded in that peace pact. And so, to answer your question directly, they are really not too comfortable with it. But remember, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. And so the governor had said, look, I am going to run with them in order to ensure that there is peace. And that is the position for now. For the Elders Forum are still very, very angry with the resolution of that peace pact. That was why they had an emergency meeting 2 days ago, and they did say that the Rivers people should rise up to defend their state, because according to them, those resolutions would not be in the interest of the ordinary Rivers person and the development of the state. Just yesterday, I must add quickly, an elder who participated in that peace pact did come out to say that apart from what transpired, that there was actually no meeting, that they got into the venue of the meeting in Aso Rock, and those resolutions were simply handed over to the governor to append his signature. And he painted a picture of duress, as it were. But the governor had come out to say through the commissioner that he didn't sign anything under duress. So I really cannot want to put a finger on who is telling us the truth or who is not. Probably the next couple of days and weeks would unveil what actually transpired. But Dr. David Briggs is still alive, and if time permits, probably before the end of the day, we'll be able to bring him on to tell Nigerians what actually transpired in that particular peace pact meeting brokered by Mr. President in Abuja.
That's why we would also like to ask other participants in that meeting, because now we've heard somebody that was bold enough to say what actually transpired, that it was just a signing exercise, not a meeting. But I'd like to ask you, What kind of peace is there in Rivers State now? Is it the peace before the storm, or peace of the graveyard, or mutually assured peace, from what you have been talking to people about? Because there's a peace before the storm, there's a peace of the graveyard, and proper peace, which is mutually assured.
Well, Rufai, if I look at those three categories of peace that you mentioned, I think I would rather choose a piece of the graveyard, because the peace for now is uneasy. There is uneasy peace. But of course, people are going about in anticipation that the real peace that they expected will come, because the fear is nobody knows what both sides of to this crisis is going to, what trigger, I should say, both sides to this crisis likely going to pull in the days ahead. Because the question is the governor going to religiously implement what this agreement is all about? And if it did not implement it, what is going to be the reaction of the opposing faction and all that? So that's it. So we really cannot say the peace here is the peace that is anticipated, is that of the graveyard, bated breath, that people are just still on the edge. But they are hoping, and everybody you talk to, that no matter what they do, please, the Rivers people need peace, not just peace for the ordinary person, peace for there to be development in the state, because the state is in dire need of development. Human capital development, I should say, and other areas of humans that are expected in a democratic setting like the one we are in now.
Well, thank you very much, Andy Omano, for bringing us reports on ground in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. We look forward to more updates as matters unfold.